It is a great pleasure to invite Congressman Elijah Cummings to the stage.
Thank you, Dr. Kurtenitis, to all of you, to the Communications and Arts Department. I want to thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity, and it is indeed an opportunity, and one that I am honored to have. And I often tell people that I'm honored to be speaking before anybody. When I think about how I started as the son of two former sharecroppers, neither one of whom had more than a third grade education, and to have spent my first 6.5 years of school in special education, told that I would never rise up and be anything. I feel fortunate to be talking to anybody. And today I wanted to come by here. I was in Washington. I left Baltimore this morning at 5:45 to speak to a group of pediatricians who have come to Washington to advocate for addressing the gun violence issue. And then I came back here to speak to you all, and coming here to speak to you all, to me, is probably one of the most important things that I will do. First of all, I want you to understand that as I get older, I realize that you have something that I wish I had. Having now lived longer than I will live, I realize that you all lives are still in front of you. In other words, you still have longer to live than you have lived, probably. And so I want to make sure that you understand that if I could buy some of your time, I'd give everything but my wife and children. Because time, listen to me, time is so very, very important. And I'm a little different kind of elected official because I talk about life and policy. Because I realize that if you don't have people who are educated, healthy, and full of hope, they can't carry out policy or create it. But they'll find themselves standing on the sidelines of life, watching life happen to them. Come on now. Yes. We're better than that. And my life has told me that. I never imagined myself as a young boy sitting in anybody's Congress. The first time that I ever stepped foot in the Capitol was when I became a congressman. And I was 47 years old. And I want you to, and I'm telling you all this for a reason. A lot of people look at themselves as just some ordinary person and say, what do I have to offer? You have a lot to offer because you're the only one in this world with your fingerprints. You're the only one with your experiences. You're the only one who is only one of you. And you have to understand it. Now let me illustrate some of what I'm talking about so that you'll understand why I think it's so important that you become involved in policy, politics, and in shaping your future. I told you that coming up in special ed was very painful for me. I got tired of being called stupid and dumb. I got tired of knowing that I had I went to a school knowing that we had 9 rooms in the whole elementary school, and all the children were black. And I remember there was a school literally about a football field away that had about 50 rooms, and all the kids were white. And imagine what that says to a little boy who's 7 years old. He goes to school, there is no playground. When he goes to school, there is no auditorium, there is no cafeteria. And so then, and the only way he got to know anything, I got to know anything about the other school, is because we had to go there to have our little Easter pageants, our little plays. And can you imagine me walking through the halls, this little fella looking around and saying, wow, they've got bathrooms, and I will never, my favorite color to this day is aqua. And the reason why my favorite color is aqua is because when I was a 7-year-old boy, when I looked in the bathrooms at the school I wish I was at, the color of the commodes, everything was aqua. Can I put something in the DNA of every cell of your brain? Ladies and gentlemen, you may not know, may not remember what happened to you at some moment. You may not remember what somebody said to you at a certain moment, but you never forget the way you feel. Come on, don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. Some of you all are going back to some feelings right now. Think about that girl that left you, that high and dry. Come on, yeah, you all right? Come on back. All right, come on back. And why am I talking about that? Because it was about pain. And there's something about the pain that a child experiences that will usually go with them until they die. As a matter of fact, my pain and my mama and daddy's pain, let me go back. They really had some pain. Their pain was based upon the fact that they were denied an education. Their pain was based on the fact that they were a school. The school was 10 miles from my daddy's house, 8 miles from my mama's house. They would not give them a bus to go to school. They used to have to walk to school, and my mother said that the white kids' school was about less than a mile away, and they got a bus. And as my mother tells her that she was walking to school, the white kids would spit on her. So when they got married, what did they want to do? What was their major objective? To get out of Manning, South Carolina, move to somewhere where their children could get an education, and where the schoolhouse would be nearby, and so that they would not have to go through the pain of this wonderful couple. And so they did it. They moved. As soon as they got married, the first thing they did was move. And they moved. Why? And they moved before their 7 children were even born. They were visionaries. They may have had a limited education, but they had common sense. I'm telling you all this for a reason. Just hang with me now. Ladies and gentlemen, and so people ask me, Cummings, where do you get your passion for education? Why is it that when you go in an elementary school, like you did the other day at Sinclair Elementary School, a school that's basically fallen apart in the city in one of the richest countries in the world, where little 4- and 5-year-old pre-students are sitting there on a stage, singing all 3 stanzas of the Black National Anthem. And Cummings, why is it that you would cry? I cry because I realize that prison cells are being built for them. Our country is better than that. We're better. But you have to be about making the policy. And so out of my pain, that's why I have a passion. That's why the tears flow. The tears flow because of what I have been through. The president spoke about foreclosure. My policies come out of pain. When I was a law student, I was supposed to get my financial aid check on a Monday. It didn't come till Tuesday. Sound like somebody familiar with that one? I heard a They drink on that one. I'll pray while I'm drinking. And so I came home, and all my furniture, I didn't have much. Don't forget I was a law student. I didn't have much. You know, some cinder blocks, and, not much. But anyway, I had a television, a leather coat, and a typewriter. I guess y'all don't even know what typewriter is. But some of you all do. But this was a real nice typewriter. And when I got home, my stuff was gone. My furniture and everything was put out in the street. For the first time, I knew what it felt like to be homeless. And so today, when I am approaching the foreclosure problem, I go with it with everything I got. I will break through that wall to save somebody's house. Why? Because of my pain came my passion to do my purpose. So often we go through our life and we curse our lives. I hear you, God, oh God, why did this happen to me? Poor me. Then you have a pity party. Call your girlfriend. Girlfriend, let's have a pity party. You do a little pity, I'll do the party. But that does not get you anywhere. Out of the pain comes a purpose, comes a passion to do a purpose. And so now we have one of the best foreclosure, saving people's houses rates in the country. Why? Because it came out of pain. And as I was about to say, so often people say, oh Lord, why did that happen to me? Don't ask why did it happen to me. I have lived long enough. And anybody who's a little bit older can testify to this. Don't ask why did it happen to me. Ask why did it happen for me. This happened for me. I remember I was dating a girl, she was fine as she could be. Oh my God, she was gay. Oh, the sun rose with her, and she rose with the sun. And she quit. Hurt my feelings. I was hurt. I was down and out, feeling real bad. I said, oh, why did this happen to me? Why did Geraldine leave me? Wow, I'm so upset Geraldine left me. And now I feel so glad that she left me, because if she hadn't left me, I wouldn't have met my wife. And you will find that that's how life is. Why am I saying that? Be careful about cursing your journey. Oh God, be careful about cursing your journey. I will never forget when I first got to Congress. I was so fortunate to end up in a leadership position. And because I come from a rough neighborhood, I sat around and I looked at all these people that I would see on 60 Minutes. I mean, they're in the room now. They're in the room. Pelosi and Gephardt and people, Henry Waxman, I'm sitting there. And so so they had about 30 or 40 of them. All these people were famous. And here was little Elijah, who came up in South Baltimore. What does he have to offer? And literally, for 6 months, I did not say one word in those 2-hour meetings, and they had them every week. I did not say one word. I said, hey, how y'all doing? Why? Because I felt like I had nothing to offer. Oh, God. I felt like my voice, I said, what do I have to offer to these people? They are the experts. They are the superstars. They are the smart people. And then I started doubting myself. But then one day, they started talking about special ed. And they were talking about possibly cutting special ed. So a little voice came to me and said, hey, Elijah. This little voice talking in my ear. I said, yeah. Hey, Elijah, you got to get up, my brother. Get up and do what? You got to get up. You got to speak up. You can't let all those millions of kids getting special ed funds down. you've been prepared for this. This is your moment. I said, what do you mean? Well, you got to understand, Elijah, you're the only expert on this thing. Ain't nobody else in here served in special ed for 6 years. You are qualified. There's nothing that you can say about the experience that they can refute because they've never been there. Can I give you a footnote on this? It's like a woman who never had a baby telling a woman who's trying to have a baby what it's going to be like. Did I break it down? The voice kept talking to me. You better get up. You got to get up. This is your moment. You got to get up. You got to get up. You got to speak up for these folks. And so I said, no, I'm not going to do it because why? Self-esteem. Pain of the past, feeling that I had nothing to offer. Why did they want to hear from me? And then suddenly it got louder, and some voice said, "Get up!" It was talking to me, right? I said, okay. I got up and I began to talk about special ed. I talked about what it felt like to be like a caged bird. I talked about how many children are trapped in special ed and how many are crying trying to get out. I talked about my mother who didn't know what special ed was. She just figured I was special because I was in special ed. But I also talked about how it made me feel. By the time I finished, was a dry eye in the room. Why? Because I was talking about an experience. What I'm telling you, that we go through our lives for a reason. And I tell my children, everything that happened to you up until this moment, good, bad, and ugly, prepares you for this moment. And so what does that have to do with politics? I guarantee you, when I watch what happens in Congress, I ask myself the question, have they experienced life? Have you experienced life of seeing a child who's done every single thing they possibly can do? They've avoided peer pressure, they've gotten good grades, they've done every single thing, they knock on the door to get in college. Have you ever seen somebody that did not get the money and could not go? Well, I have. That's why I fight for Pell Grants, because I want children to have the same opportunities that I had. I had my turn. I'm in my senior years. What about the people coming after me? Out of the pain, gotta follow that theme. Out of the pain comes a passion to do your purpose. And so, when it comes to medical care, you can leave. I know you gotta go. It's all right. She told me she had to go before she got here, but she's so...
I'm fascinated.
Yeah, stay there. All right, I got some more. Healthcare. My father, up until the day he died, my father died about 13 years ago, and up until the day that he died, he talked about a story. And he would tell us this story over and over again. It was so painful to him. Again, he may not have remembered exactly what happened. He may not remember what was said, but he remembered how it made him feel. Daddy was 70-something years old, still talking about how when he was a little boy, 8 years old, that his father fell sick in the choir. He's preaching. Fell sick. They took him put him on a wagon. His daddy on a wagon. Father, 9 years old. He took his daddy on a wagon home. And he said they waited. Some doctors came. 2 doctors came. One of them came in and said, these are old, one young, both white. And they said to him, they said, leave him. My daddy's sitting on the steps, right? My daddy's sitting on the steps. And he hears the young doctor say, we got to get this man to a hospital. Well, back then, some hospitals didn't let black folk in. And so the older doctor said, no, can't do that. He said, but doc, we got to do something. And he said, he's only a nigger. What? And that night, listen to me, and that night, my granddaddy died. Out of my father's pain, out of his pain, he transferred his pain, come on, hang with me, to me. Why was I in pain? Because first of all, my father was in pain. But I was in pain for another reason. I was in pain because I was deprived of a granddaddy that I never knew. And so out of my pain, that's why I work so hard for health care. This ain't no political thing for me. I believe in it. You know, somebody say, oh, let me see, what does the poll say today? Oh, they say we should be for health care. I'll be for health care. Nah, I don't give a damn what the poll says. I believe in people being able to get health care. If you don't think health care is important, imagine this simple little example. You got a headache, a migraine headache, and you don't have no way of getting any aspirin or anything. Imagine what that would do to your day. Now take that and put it on steroids of people who right now are seniors because of the dysfunction of Congress not being able to get chemotherapy treatment for their cancer. In one of the richest countries in the world, there's something wrong with that picture. So there are others who sit by. And that's why, by the way, I'm for research. I want to find the cures to these diseases. And I tell my colleagues, y'all ought to be really for research, medical research. We all getting older, man. That's what I tell them. And Alzheimer's don't have any boundaries. At least we ought to have the money to try. We'll be pushing to get some research for Alzheimer's so we can keep our minds. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't sit there and act like you don't have a role to play. That you don't have a role to play, and as I close, I'm close, because I want to hear your questions. Mine, as you probably know, on June the 10th, 2 years ago, my nephew, who was a student at Old Dominion, he was 20 years old. He was a rising senior. As a matter of fact, he would have been graduating this month. He was a rising junior, he would have been graduating this month. And he had a 3.6 average. He paid his own tuition, paid his own rent, everything. He had a little company. He formed a company. Oh, God. He formed a company at 14. Had 3 or 4 people working for him. And they mowed lawns and rake leaves. And so at 5 o'clock in the morning on Friday, June 10th, 2 years ago, some haters came in the room, robbed him, and killed him, shot him to death. And it's one of the most painful things that I've ever experienced in my life. And, you know, I don't know how many of you all, say in the last 3 years, have had somebody you know, you feel fairly close to, a family member, to be killed by gun. Wow, it's pretty, more than I thought it would be. So I was in pain. And, Madam President, something hit me here recently as we were doing this stuff about guns, trying to get some bills passed with regard to guns. I realized that while all the years I've been doing this, Fran, I had a passion. But I noticed that the passion that I had right after my nephew died was like a 10. And it had just kind of whittled down a little bit over time to about a 7.5. And so I decided, I said to myself, Elijah, and see, I talk to myself all the time. I mean, I don't be going around, walking around the house talking. And my wife, she can do some serious conversation, as the guy said, conversating. But she will be, not only does she talk to herself, she talk back. I'm like, wow, that's deep. I know none of you ladies do that, I got that. Anyway, so, I said I need to renew my passion. I don't want you to miss this. Pain, passion, purpose. But you know what? Can I tell you a little secret? After you live long enough and you see enough, you realize that sometimes your passion gets a little less. You got distractions, you're doing all kinds of things and whatever, and time goes by. And in those moments, you have to find ways to renew your passion. Got that? Well, let me break it down. Give me an example real quick. My wife, I told one of our agreements when we got married is we must have date night. That's part of our contract. We've got to have date. You got to dress up, girlfriend. You got to dress up like you've never dressed before. And I don't care where you want. I'll take you wherever you want to go within 30 miles. Amen. That's in the budget. But there's a reason why I do that. I don't want to forget why I married her. Hello, y'all may not, some of y'all be married a while, y'all understand what I'm saying. You want to keep the passion a bit. And you're getting ready to go into this battle to fight this gun situation. What are you going to do? I said, let me go and see an autopsy of a gun victim. So I called the medical examiner's office and I said, I need to see an autopsy of a gun victim. When can I see one? He said, well, we don't know when somebody's going to be shot, but as soon as something comes up. He said, as soon as something comes up, we'll let you know. Sure enough, on the Friday, Good Friday, he called me at 7 o'clock in the morning and said, come on in, 9 o'clock, we're gonna show you, you can watch this autopsy. Again, I've seen many autopsies, but I've never seen one of a gunshot victim. And I want to describe this to you as best I can. I don't know how many of you have ever seen an autopsy? Wow. Okay, well let me try to help you all with this. You have to imagine the person is no longer a person. It's like a chicken. And they cut you up and they literally take everything out of you. Everything. And you know, as I was looking at this young man, he looked just like my nephew. He was 6'5". The night before, he had gone out with some of his boys. He was trying to, again, he was 21 years old, 6'5". He was trying to dabble into the criminal element. He was a good guy, fellas. He was a good, hello, fellas. He was a good guy, but he started hanging around with the wrong crowd, and the wrong crowd fooled him. They claimed they were on their way to some party. The guy, he was driving, the guy in the passenger seat, one in the back, they stopped the car on Landale Street, took a gun, put it to his head, and blew his brains out. Wow. They found him the next night. Let me show you how our society has become. They found him the next night laying outside of his car. And the policeman, the detective said, Congressman, I said, well, why was he outside the car? He said, because not the killer, but somebody had come along, seen the body, and said, let's get whatever we can out of his pockets. Oh. And in the process, just let him, because they talked to that, they found that person, and so they figured it all out. Anyway, that's where our society has gone. But ladies and gentlemen, I want you to listen to this. I kept saying to myself, just yesterday, this boy was probably playing basketball. He probably was preparing to take his girlfriend out this weekend. He was doing what 21-year-olds normally do. And by the way, the detective told me the crime was based on hating. Okay, this guy was coming from a nice family. He was doing well. And watch out for this. They were hating on him, and so they decided to kill him. But anyway, we talk about hate crime. That's another kind of hate crime. What's that? And the thing that got me was after they took a slice of his liver, took a slice of his kidneys, they took a little slice of everything, put it in a jar. I kept saying, this guy was alive just yesterday. He was alive just yesterday. And then they did something that I will never forget as long as I live. The last thing was to remove his testicles and put them in a jar. And I said, why did you do that? They said, because that whenever we'll shoot somebody, kill them like that, they know the death is going to be instantaneous. And they said that the reason why they do that, they check the testicles, is because they want to see if usually what they do is they kick them there before they kill them. And the only way they have to examine them and then they come in. But I thought, isn't that deep? The last thing they do is that. Well, when I walked out of there, I was fired up. But I needed to see it. And that's why, oh God, members of Congress, I've been inviting them, telling them, come on up. Come on, y'all need to come to Baltimore with me. If I could get them to see that, or if they could talk to those mothers and fathers at Sandy Hook, up there in Connecticut, and have the medical examiner describe what he saw, you would think that there's no way that we could come out of session without doing some kind of gun laws. And that's why you're so important, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all can sit back. I've been here. I've been having my trumpet sounding, and I've been jumping up and down, and I've been warning. And now we get to a point where children can't even get a decent education. Airline and got the airline stopped because folk can't even figure out things in Washington. Got seniors can't get chemotherapy. What kind of stuff is that? This is the United States of America. But let's be careful. Let's not act like that this is the United States and we got to fix it. No, we are the United States. You and me, we are the solution. And if somebody doesn't stand up, who will? And so, this is what I'm telling you to do. Examine your life. Examine your life. Don't go around cursing what has happened to you. Embrace it. Embrace it. I tell people, and I will close on this last note. I tell people always ask me, say, Congressman, what kind of job, what was your first job? I said, my first job was a pot washer. Pot washer at the Baltimore Country Club. Oh, I was the best pot washer in the world. Because my mother had taught me that no matter what you do it like Picasso paint. So so they told me I was going to be the pot washer. I went to my mother. I said, Mother, what is the best way to clean a pot quick? She told me about the Brillo pads, told me to get my gloves. And I went in there, I marched in there that first day. And they said, well, here you go, Mr. Cummings, this is a washcloth. I said, I already got my equipment. You don't have my little apron just for, just to, flash. Want to make sure I was protecting my clothes. Anyway, so I got there and I was washing my pots, and they may have spaghetti in them. I'd get the burn off of that, because they had to put some mashed potatoes in them in about 2 hours, so I had to get that ready in. And then they came one day and said, Cummings, you got a promotion for you. Oh, promotion? It was at the Baltimore Country Club. They said, well, I said, what's the promotion? Said, you're going to now be the glass washer. I went to my mom. I said, Mom, I just got a promotion. I'm going to be the glass washer. How about I make sure that everything is sparkling? I don't want nobody, when they get them glasses like, y'all, you do, and lipstick is on them. No, going to have that. A little smudges. Some of y'all been there. Come on, don't act like you don't want to, you don't want to come back to the restaurant. I know. Anyway, but I wanted to make sure that my glasses were sparkling clean. I wanted them so sparkling that when the person picked up the glass to drink their water, they could see their face. That was my goal. And sure enough, 4 months later, the boss came. Elijah, we're going to give you a promotion. You were such a great glass washer. We're going to now make you a porter. I said, wow, that was big. For me. For me. See, I'm trying to tell you something. The porter's job was ideal for a student. Because you set up the party, right? And then while the reception or whatever was going on, 2.5 hours, you did nothing. Other people played cards, the porters played cards. I went in the gym, and what did I do? Study. I studied my 2.5 hours and whatever. And that, so what am I saying? Never curse your journey. Don't curse where you are. You're there for a reason. And make sure you get everything. And while you're there, do the best you can with everything you've got. And so many of you are sitting there saying, I'm not sure where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm here at the community college, and I don't know whether I need to be here. Why am I here? I know you are. Don't raise your hands. There's nothing wrong with that because that's not unusual. But I'll leave you with the words of T.D. Jakes. He was talking to his son, and his son said that his son was about to go off to conservatory because he's a singer, and his son said, "Daddy, I'm not sure this is a thing. I'm not sure this is a thing for me, Daddy. Maybe I don't go to some other school." And his daddy said these words, and I want you to never forget them. These are some words that I wish I invented. Because I would say them to my kids every day. He said, if it's not the thing, it's the thing that will lead you to the thing. Oh yeah, tweet that. Tweet that, just tweet it. Give me the credit, tweet it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I'm ready to answer some questions.
Well, let me just say to all of you students in communications art classes, you have just seen a master at work.
Congressman,
Yes, sir.
I'm so happy to see you today, and your speech was amazing. And thank you, President Kurt Tonitis, very much. And I'm very impressed by the guest speakers. I spoke to the Lieutenant Governor about traumatic brain injuries within the last 2 weeks. I suffered one nearly 6 years ago. It's coming up very quickly on that. I haven't been able to get any kind of help. I've had to do it on my own. I passed out some flyers today about traumatic brain injuries, and I bring awareness every day. I started a I started a Facebook page for the special needs community within the last 3 weeks. As of today, someone else had actually set it up for me. Over 200 people have joined.
So do you have a question? Because we got a lot.
Yes, I have a YouTube station that brings awareness as well. And I would like to ask you if you will come back and help bring awareness to traumatic brain injuries, and I would like your help in bringing awareness to traumatic brain injuries.
It's something that I've done a lot of work on, more from the military standpoint, but I'd be happy to. Consistent with what I just said, I have one major motto, and that is we have one life to live. This is no dress rehearsal, then this is that life. Hello, there's not a life, you ain't got a life over there in that closet. This is the life right here. I get tired of people who live life as if they got all day and all night, and the next thing you know, before you know it, you're gonna be 50. Before you know it, I swear. It seems like just yesterday that I was 20. I swear to God, and I'm 62. It seems like it was just yesterday. So I say that to say, I want everybody to live the very best life that they can, whatever the circumstances may be, okay? So Fran Allen is right there. She is my district director. She handles all of our constituents' issues, and I want you to see her, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And thank you. And by the way, let me tell you something. I don't know your whole story. I don't know your whole story. But I guarantee you've had that yourself?
Yes, sir. Still
Okay,
struggling with it.
Here we go. I'm so glad you were the first one to ask a question. Because you see what this gentleman has done, and I really admire you for what you've done. Out of his pain comes his passion to do his purpose. He's not just talking about himself. He had to go through something to get to the passion that he's gotten to. He's the first person that my staff met when we got here. Why? Because out of his pain comes a passion to carry out his purpose. And you just illustrated what I've been talking about for the last 30 minutes.